Welcome back. Thank you for staying with Bottom Line Africa. Now, in mid-March 2019, a devastating cyclone hit Madagascar, Mozambique, Malawi, and Zimbabwe. This was called Cyclone Idai, and it is reported to be the deadliest storm system in this year and maybe the worst disaster to ever strike the Southern Hemisphere. That's according to the United Nations. It is estimated almost 3 million people have been affected, with more than 1,000 deaths being reported. Not far after, the death from the tropical cyclone Kenneth actually climbed to 38. Now, in regards to the changing weather patterns, allow us to string into this conversation Patricia Nying'uro, who's a Chief Meteorologist at the Kenya Meteorological Department, who's joining us from our city center studios. Many thanks for making time. Now, these climate hazards are natural events in weather cycles. When we're talking about hurricanes, floods, droughts, and maybe high winds as well. However, we're witnessing a scale of destruction that is terrifying. How exactly should we read into this? Because there's much higher frequency of high intensity storms right now.
Yeah, true. Like you had mentioned, storms and cyclones are part of nature and they occur naturally. However, as climate changes, as we see global warming increasing, then we see the frequency of these storms, like the cyclones, and their intensity really increasing. And we cannot discount the role that climate change is playing to make these quite deadly, as we have seen actually this year.
All right, now, how exactly does climate change play a role in this? Have human activities directly facilitated the occurrence of such disasters?
Well, climate change and how it's been progressing over the past years is anthropogenic, which means it's man-made. And so human activities, including pollution and many other activities, are leading to an increase in temperatures. Specifically with the cyclones, the cyclones form when we have really low pressures induced by high temperatures. So as the temperatures continue to become even higher, then we expect the pressures to become even lower and having more intense cyclones.
All right, now, in terms of climate change, many might be more conversant with the extreme weather conditions when it's dry in terms of drought. But when it comes to intensity in rainfall, we are not much informed about this. Just bring us up to speed with perhaps how this comes about in retrospect to climate change, because it results to flooding and more intense rainfall, which is human-induced climate change. Just bring us up to speed with the other effect apart from drought in terms of climate change.
Okay, for example, in Kenya, we have two main rainfall seasons, from March to May and then October to December. And in the past, the arrival or the onset of the rainfall has almost been cyclic, so it happens at exactly the same time. But with climate change, we are seeing that the seasons are delaying. So we have later onset of rainfall, and then we have earlier cessation of rainfall. And even within the season, we see that we have fewer rain days, which are not able, for example, to sustain crop production for agriculture. And during this season, we have longer dry spells. We have longer periods of time where we have no rainfall. And then when the rainfall comes, it's quite intense. So due to climate change, we are seeing intense storms within very short periods of time. You get really high rainfall amounts in, say, 24 hours than we have seen in the past. And also, you had mentioned the droughts and increase in temperatures. During January to March, we have some of the highest temperatures in the country. And in the past, we'd have 1 or 2 days, especially in Nairobi, with temperatures higher than 30 degrees. But now we are seeing the frequency of days. We have more days, even 4 or 5 days, with higher than 30 degrees Celsius within Nairobi. So these are all impacts of climate change.
All right, now, a report by the Meteorological Department had revealed that the tropical cyclone Idai that hit Mozambique and Zimbabwe last month had played a huge role in delaying the rains right here in Kenya and extending the sunny and dry weather conditions. There was also talk of the coastal area in Kenya being highly at risk to the cyclone. Kindly clarify this for us. How exactly is the weather pattern affected by the cyclone that was ongoing earlier on in Mozambique? And perhaps can Cyclone Kenneth also bring unprecedented effects to Kenya?
Well, both cyclones, interestingly, have very different impacts on the rainfall, our rainfall patterns. When Cyclone Idai formed and hit, it was at the beginning of the season. And so the rainfall causing mechanisms had not yet fully developed and had not yet moved into our region. As a result, then we saw the cyclone denying us needed moisture for the rainfall. With Cyclone Kenneth, however, the season had really progressed in time, and also the position of formation. Cyclone Kenneth was higher north compared to Idai, and so it resulted in the moving of the ITCZ, or the Intertropical Convergence Zone, which brings us rainfall, its meridional arm eastwards towards our country. And that's why we saw from Kenneth we benefited in terms of rainfall, but from Idai we were denied rainfall.
Very interesting right there. Something that also stands out is a changing weather patterns paradox. If I can put it in the right way, the meteorological department also came under pressure in terms of, predicting the weather patterns. Farmers were expecting the long rains at the normal time period when it came. And, the meteorological department did give an assurance that it might happen, but later on the rains were delayed. So in terms of predicting the changing weather patterns, how does the meteorological department work? Because in terms of a farmer who's back at home, they'd really be interested to know how you guys actually predict the weather pattern and when we should experience rains.
So when we give the seasonal forecast and then we do a press release for the forecast, we usually advise our users to use that forecast in conjunction with our shorter range forecast. So we produce a daily forecast, a 5-day forecast, a weekly forecast, and a monthly forecast. And even in addition, we also produce updates. So when we produce this season's forecast, we did the same, encouraged users to use the updates. And then we issued updates as the season was evolving. And so if users can have access to this information, then it keeps them on their toes with regard to the rainfall situation, when we expect it, amounts we expect, and such like. And we have a good presence in the counties with the county directors. So the users can be able to access information through the county directors.
All right. Many thanks, Patricia Nying'uro. That's the Chief Meteorologist